Hello, Chapter 12, Stats Medic. Does listening to music improve GPA? Let's look at the answers. First of all, of course, you're supposed to complete it on your own, but then let's see what the conclusions are. All right, so for this one, you're going to see that it's all about if there's a random sample or random assignment. So let's just kind of review what that's going to do. A random sample, I'll just put RS for random sample. Basically, what the deal is with a random sample is that I want a good representation of the population. You don't have to have a random sample to have a good representation of the population, but a random sample is a good way to achieve one. So a random sample is a good representation of the population. So if I take a random sample of the population, then I can conclude something about the population. Random assignment, though, is all about controlling my variables, and if I control the variables, then I can get cause and effect. So if I randomly assign the treatment, and this is only the randomly assigned the treatment. Random sample, that means that's how I'm collecting, or how I'm getting together or collecting my sample of the population. All right, so let's go and look at this. So for the first one, you can tell, let's just kind of highlight here. It says get your students in the statistics class, and get your students in the statistics class. That means that is not a random sample. So I'll put RS no, which we have no there. To participate, ask them. So we just ask them whether they study our music, though this would be an observational study or a survey, because there is no treatment. So there's random assignment no. The next one, so the conclusions we make, of course, for the students in the class, because there's no random sample. There is a correlation between listening to music and while studying. So there's correlation because there's no random assignment. If there was a random sample, it would be like the next one. There's a random sample here. In fact, it says random sample from the school right here. And yes, there's a random sample. So now I'm going to change that sentence to for all the students from the school. So that's going to change to there. Ask them whether or not they study. So the same question here. So this is still no. So this still is the same. The second part of the sentence is the same. There's a correlation. I say, hey, it looks like there's a relationship, but because I haven't controlled my variables, I cannot say it caused it. So the next one is no random sample. So that goes back to the first where there's no random sample. So I only can talk about the students that I'm studying in the class. Yes, a random assignment. So I can say, however, it does cause it. The last one is yes and yes, so I can say yes for all the students at the school, and I can say yes, it caused it, because it's a random assignment. So you can see these little things at the side. The first one, no inference about the population or causation, so I can't make any conclusions about the population or causation. This one, I can make inference about the population, because it does not, because it's no assignment, no random assignment, but I can make a inference or a conclusion about the population. This one's inference about causation, so a conclusion about causation, because yes, it's random assignment. And the last one is inference about both, and that is because it's yes and yes. So to sum up again what I just said, if you have a random sample, it allows you to generalize to the population because your random sample is a good representation of the population. So if it's a good representation of the population, then you should be able to make conclusions about the population. All right, random assignment's the next one, and random assignment allows us to make cause and effect conclusions. Let's talk about our data ethics really quick, just to introduce that. Data ethics basically means that you have an institutional review that makes the ethics review board, and it gives you the rules. If there's something questionable, it can go before the institutional review board to let them know or to kind of deny or grant a study. Informed consent is giving consent to somebody that is over the age of 18, or if they're under 18, giving it to their parents or guardian. Informed, though, is the main thing. You can't just say, I'm just testing if you're scared of water, and I'm only using 2 inches of water, and that's all you tell them, and you end up like almost putting their head in the water and splashing it on it, where you're almost do a torture type of thing that really scares them. When they're thinking 2 inches of water, they're thinking they're standing in 2 inches of water. So you can't do anything that hurts them emotionally or physically, potentially. And finally, it has to be confidential. You won't talk about Johnny or Susie or whoever else. You'll talk about subject 1, subject 2. All right, on the check for understanding, if you haven't, go ahead and pause this and go ahead and go to the check for understanding. So for this one, it's not random assignment because it tells you this is because I'm just I'm taking these and I'm actually just seeing if they have recovered. I'm just collecting evidence from it. And it's not random sample because I recruited them. So what conclusions can we make? Well, this is the one, the no was the first one, only the people in the study and no causation. So I can't make inference about the population of cause and effect, so I can say of the athletes in this study recovered more quickly if removed from play. Is it ethical? No, the reason this is not ethical is because I can't tell some athletes, sorry, you're not part of the study, so you're going to just have to deal with your injury, and I'm not going to give you any treatment. So that's not ethical. For the next one, for causes, does this cause? And so in order for it to have causation, I have to have random assignment. And when I looked here, it says that the way that I was doing this is I was just observing, and then it asks, and so that's not random assignment. So then it says, can I do an experiment? Well, no, because you can't hurt babies. Even though they're not born yet, there's still a life inside the mom, and you can't hurt them. If you think that the study may potentially hurt the baby inside of the mom, then they would have to live with those lifelong effects, and you can't hurt babies. And also, you see, obviously, where the babies can't give informed consent, but the parents would be the ones doing so. But mainly, it's the harm that it potentially could bring to the child. All right, thank you very much.